Hey everyone, and thanks for joining us for our daily semifinal recap show. I'm your host, Lauren Kalil. Day 2 is a wrap in Knoxville, Tennessee at the Mid-Atlantic CrossFit Challenge. And here to recap another day of fitness is Brian Friend and Dex Hopkins. Guys, yesterday we were talking about it's going to be a fight to get in those top 5 spots. Lots of shifts in the leaderboard. How was competition for you guys watching from the stands and on?
Yeah, it was exciting. We talked about it yesterday, how all of the divisions had the opportunity for people to make a move today. And, some athletes were able to do that and others were not. There was a lot of jockeying for position in a short event and then a long event. And in both of them, it was pretty exciting to watch.
That's for sure. First, we will start looking at the leaderboard just on the women's side. Our top 5 right now: Sydney Michalyshen, Danielle Brandon, Bailey Rail, Kelly Clark, and Brooke Wells. Any surprises initially, Dex, on the women's side of the leaderboard?
I'm not surprised Sydney is crushing. No finishes outside the top 10. And that last one is actually a 10th. But that, talking to her coaches, that was not like the strongest event for her. And that was like a well-managed kind of damage control event. Not very surprised by that. Kelly Clark, kind of surprising to me to be in 4th. One of the older athletes in the field, but I mean, she's got one finish outside the top 10. That was an 11th, and she looked great today. Bailey Rail, I'm excited she's in top 3, just because of kind of the way it happened last year. I think she did the at-home qualifier, and it was kind of a last-second thing. So seeing her in there is cool. And honestly, man, I'm really excited to see how well Brooke Wells is doing across the board. I know the last workout she took a 3, but she was running it so hot that she kind of had a little pass-out action, I think. I didn't really get the whole story, but her whole team was around her trying to help her out. And she took a 24 this morning with the legless workout. But, I mean, man, she looks great after coming off such a crazy injury and such a short turnaround. She's moving really well. It's been tested, like we said yesterday, and then that carries over to today. And she looked running super hard. And that workout was horrible for everybody across the board. Only one person finished all day. But those are my surprises, man. Kelly Clark, very surprised Brooke Wells is coming back as strong as she is at this level, and I'm excited to see where that goes.
Brian, any surprises for you in our top 5 going into the final day of the event?
Well, I mean, those are the 5 women that I picked, not necessarily in that order, to make it by the end of the weekend. And, I think of any of them, it would be the biggest accomplishment for Kelly. She's been around for a long time. I think she actually did the 2014 regional workout that they did this morning back in 2014. I think she might have even been doing regionals before then. So, and she's never made the games on her own. So this would be an amazing accomplishment for her if she's able to do it. And I think she's probably feeling pretty good heading into the last day. She looked really steady today. She didn't really give away much in that long, grindy workout, which is, I think, a testament to her overall fitness. It looks like there's going to be some more, tests where capacity matters and fitness matters tomorrow. So I think Kelly is possibly set up for a huge payoff at the end of a long career.
Moving on to the men's leaderboard, top 5 finishers after day 2. Panchik leads the way, followed by Dalen Pepper, Cole Sager, Tyler Christoffel, and Logan Collins. But then just outside of the top 5, Noah Olson, Spencer Panchik, Louise Askamora, a lot of names that we were talking about yesterday, and even some shifts. What are your initial thoughts of this leaderboard and compared to yesterday, Brian?
Well, I think the biggest mover today was actually the guy you just cut off there. Mitchell Stevenson went from 20th all the way up to 9th. But I think of the guys in the top 5, Logan Collins made a good climb today to put himself in that 5 spot. By no means, we knew this coming into the weekend. By no means is it going to be easy to qualify here. I think Saxon and Dallin are feeling pretty good, and everyone else realizes that there's going to be a hell of a battle on their hands tomorrow. But I think Logan came in with a belief that he could make it, and the fact that he is sitting 5th after 4 events will be something that he can carry momentum-wise into tomorrow and have that, that needed mental edge to know that there's a chance that he can hold off a guy like Noah and a guy like Spencer, who will be doing everything he can to make the games for his first.
And then finally, taking a look at the teams. No surprise here. CrossFit Men Independence is leading the way here. Dex, when we look at our top 5 teams, any surprises or standouts after day 2?
Not today. I mean, their finishes 1 through 5. Mayhem with a 1. They only have one event that's not a first place. But Shoe Fly looks really good, man. I know that legless rope climb workout was not a strength for them, and that was a 6. And they took a 3 on the last one, and they didn't feel too good about it coming off the floor, but a 3 is a great workout. And so, yeah, I'm not very surprised. Camo Athletics, like we talked about yesterday, I mean, same deal, nothing outside of the top 10. But the points are not as tight getting down the list as they are in individuals. So, yeah, it was really a usual suspects kind of thing. I know yesterday we talked about Camo Athletics and if they could hold on, and it kind of, today was kind of a good testament to that, they're a good teamwork team. So, yeah, it was really business as usual, man. I'm really impressed by the CrossFit Shoe Fly team. With Jalen Franklin, they have 2 occupational games athletes, and they're crushing, man. And I think tomorrow is a really good set of events for them. So they could be in the push to make a move, but I don't see anybody taking Mayhem off the throne.
Getting into these specific events, the day started with event 3. We're going to look at the women's side first. The 2014 regional event, event 5, Danielle Brandon, she started out strong, but then it was Sydney Michalyshen taking first. And how about Bailey Rail? She came out of nowhere at the end, taking second. Did you guys expect her, Brian, to see her kind of come from behind and then end up so strong on the leaderboard?
Yeah, I thought coming into today that Bailey, who was sitting in 7th, had a great opportunity to make a lot of progress. And obviously she had 2 great events, starting by that 2nd place finish. She's a pretty good runner. She was, 3rd place in the long running event at the end of in the middle of the games last year. Her upper body pulling was pretty good. So amazing day for Bailey. I think that we'll probably see some more of the same for her, just steady top 5 finishes, lock up another game spot. She looks really good. I think she's feeling good. She has a lot of support here from the Mayhem team, and we'll get to talk about it. But obviously, Tyler's also doing well, and I think that they're kind of feeding off of the momentum that they're each carrying into the last day.
Sure. And speaking about upper body pulling strength, Shelby Neal and Brooke Wells, those were 2 athletes who really struggled with some of those rope climbs, getting almost to the top, not being able to make it. Dex, when you see Brooke Wells finish a 24th, Shelby Neal a 30th, is this something that really stood out, or did we know that these were weaknesses going into the event?
I think Brooke's upper body pulling has always been an issue. But again, I hate to harp on it, man, but that's a big test, that kind of grip. I mean, you hear people getting the elbow junk from kind of legless stuff all the time. In a 24, I mean, that may be a pretty good scenario for her coming off of that and not taking like a complete last. Shelby, is Shelby a military person, Brian? Is she in the military or am I crazy?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
No, I think she's, maybe Army.
I was surprised that she did not do a little better in the legless one, just because when we were at the competition a few months ago, her upper body pulling was really good. That was a full heavy event. So yeah, I was pretty surprised about that, but I was honestly like pleasantly surprised by Brooke Wells being able to do that with that elbow, man. Being able to finish it all and it not being something you got to kind of mail in. So, but that's pretty par for the course for her. Like it's hurt an elbow on a snatch, and then before that was kind of not her thing. So all things considered, I mean, that's one to try to manage.
Looking at the men on event 3, I want to point out William Leahy, the 4th, from Heat 1. He didn't only win the event, but he currently holds the record across of all of the semifinals. Brian, is he somebody that you were looking at going into this event, especially not being in that final heat with some of the other top athletes?
I didn't know much about, he prefers to go by Bill. I didn't know much about Bill coming into the weekend, but I did run into him and his coach, who's actually former Games athlete Brandon Luckett, at Athlete Check-In. And he's only been doing CrossFit for 2 years. If anyone knows me, he's not that much, he's almost as skinny as I am. And he was moving 315 in that complex to start the weekend, and that caught my attention right away, where I was like, this guy is young and should not be moving weight this well given his build. I thought that if anything, he might be good on a workout like this, where there was running and you can jump up the rope super high. He seemed to have some very well defined muscles, despite not being the thickest guy on the field. I think that I was looking at him before that workout. I was looking at him before workout 4, and I'm also looking at him for workout 5 tomorrow. I think he's made his way all the way up to 11. And I think that there's a chance we'll see him in the final heat for the final workout in a pretty deep men's field. And this is a guy who might be worth keeping an eye on for the next couple of years to come.
Ooh, that's good to know. Somebody that will add into the mix of competitive athletes. But speaking of seeing that competition on the field, Heat 3, 2 through 5 place, it was neck and neck between Saxon Panchik, Dallin Pepper, Spencer Panchik, and Luis Oscar Mora. What was it like seeing that action on the field, Dex?
Look, as I said it yesterday, it says a real NASCAR fitness event, just across the board. And Noah being in the position he's in, seeing him have to throw some haymakers and hurt a lot to get back in the mix. The point spread's not huge. I mean, just 3 through 8. It's going to be a fight, which is going to make it a really exciting day 3. But, yeah, man, I mean, it's been one of my favorite ones to watch. And I went back, last weekend we watched them touring and all that online. And it's kind of usual suspects. You knew who was getting the big victories. But none of these have been that way. And it's honestly like Dallin Pepper in the last one today, slow playing it, making a late push, taking a 4 in that one. Saxon and Noah were throwing haymakers from the start, going back and forth. So it's been a real kind of like scoot to the edge of your seat weekend. And I think it's going to be a hardcore wrap up tomorrow. It's going to be great.
Moving into event 4, the Mac Mile. It was a 25-minute cap with running, wall balls, chest to bar, the tank push, and sandbag to shoulder. For the women's side, Danielle Brandon, she was trailing Brooke Wells for over half of the event, but then pulled ahead and did not stop. Brian, when we look at an athlete like Brooke Wells, do you think that her going out so hot, she looked so good at first, was this her way of kind of taking a risk after not doing so great in the rope climb workout?
Maybe. I mean, coming into this workout, I thought Danielle was definitely the woman to beat. And 2 rounds into it, I was like, wow, this performance from Brooke Wells is remarkable. Like, Danielle, that's a workout that sets up really, really well for Danielle. And she was she was being aggressive. She was being aggressive on her transition. She was being aggressive with the sandbag. And I was like, okay, she must know something here that I don't know that they've been working on. And, I think whatever happened to her out there, probably caught her off guard. She wasn't expecting that. I think she was expecting to be able to maybe not hold the same pace as round 1 and 2, but at least to finish strong and steady. But getting off that air runner and going to the wall balls in the final round, like I thought she was going to fall over right there in the competition floor. And obviously you don't want to see any athletes in that state, but on a long workout like that, I mean, that workout was leaving people in despair all day. No matter how good or bad you did on it, it was a very, very taxing workout. And it caught up with her, and all I can say is I hope that she's okay for tomorrow, because outside of that, she's been, she managed the rope climbs, and that's all you can do if you have a weakness on a workout like that, and she's been really impressive on everything else. So hopefully we'll see her recover and come back tomorrow and be able to fight for, a trip back to the games, which would obviously be incredible after how last season ended.
Dex, seeing Danielle Brandon, I mean, her coach, Justin Kotler, he even spoke about how he expected her to do really well in this workout. That was made for her. How do you think that transitions into the push to keep Danielle at the top of the leaderboard headed into the 3rd day as an athlete?
So I was on the floor for this whole event, and Brooke's a really strong runner, right? And that workout lines up really well for Danielle as well. And she played her close, and I think they were on the sandbag. Brooke gets a no rep or 2 in a row, and it was like somebody put 2 drops of blood in the water, and then Danielle kicked another gear, and which is cool, right? We've seen that happen to people before. What I don't see a lot is the absolute psychopath Justin Kotler is when these people are doing well. That is a term of endearment. I love it. Like, I shook his hand yesterday. I was like, dude, you coach this like it is a normal sport. You're up there losing your absolute mind. I mean, he paced up and down the steps of the little family section, just like mugging everybody. Like, he was so linked in with it. It was the coolest thing to see. And that's across the board. I mean, he's got a few athletes here, and it's not just, he spreads it out really evenly. And I love that, man. So And, you know, paired with her kind of killer instinct, you get to see, I think that kind of energy and connection is a huge deal. I mean, you've seen it over the years, like Ben and Katrin, how that was, and like coaches that are really close and have relationships, obviously, you know, very close and intimate. And there's a lot of stuff that goes into that if you want to go to that place. And so I love watching those things. That guy's a psychopath, and I told him I loved it. And it's my favorite thing. But I think it's an energy they feed off of each other. So he's in the line of sight. You hear her get no reps. She, like, I'm telling you, it's like a switch flip for both of them. He's pacing and losing his mind in the stands. And then she almost finished. She was the closest girl to finish. There was only one guy to finish. So, yeah, man, it pumps me up to see that stuff. It's insane.
Yeah, and speaking of that in the men's field, it was Saxon Panchik. He was the only athlete on the men and women's side to finish that event all day long with only 10 seconds to spare. Brian, I know you and I have talked a lot about programming at these semifinals. What do you think it says about that specific workout to only see one athlete all day finish?
Say it.
Well, I actually I actually spoke to Luke Espy about this because and what he was saying is that the air runners, when they're brand new, you just can't get as much bang for your buck on them, so it's slower. So in both the team workout today that had the air runner and the individual workouts, I think he didn't account for that, the brand newness of the air runners, and that when they're a little bit more beat in, you can get them to spin a little bit faster. I mean, that makes sense in the context of plenty of other pieces of equipment that people have had. It's kind of like a baseball glove or something like that. They're just a little stiff. So I think that might be the reason for it. I told him he's probably just better and fitter than everyone, and so he was able to finish, and they weren't. But no, so that could be one reason for it. And look, it's okay to have workouts where not that many people finish. I would say it's not ideal if only one person and one team are finishing the workout. And that for people, if you're programming events with air runners in the future and you know that you're going to use that, maybe consider that as a factor and allow for it in the time domain when you're setting the time cap.
As a fan, though, Dex, was it cool to see Saxon actually finish the workout and especially so close to that time cap?
Yeah, well, in the fashion he did it, right? He held on and did 10 touch and go sandbag cleans to the end.
8. You had to drop for the last two.
My bad. 8. Yeah. So he did 8 in the end, and I mean, just bear hugging this thing to death. So it was super exciting. And I mean, that's what I'm saying, man. That's gonna be like the kind of cupcake at the finish line for every one of these. Is that there's gonna be that gear for the guy that gets there first, and they were all close. And I mean, his whole family's right in front of him. I don't know whose idea it was to have the family section right at the finish line where they're allowing everybody to get up front. That was a great idea because everybody's going to be a psychopath for the end of workouts now. But it was really cool to see, man, because I know, like, after seeing so many people not finish in my brain, and probably the same thing for Brian, I was like, okay, this is way over-programmed, right? Like, I think there's a huge difference between a true form and an assault runner. True form's a little more, I'm pulling a sled, posterior chain action. And Brian's right, it's slower even than the air runner on a good day, a broken-in day. So to have that gear after all that kind of torture and that workout leading up to that, and then you're able to hold on to that thing, because I know the tank's empty at the end. That's a long, hard workout. So yeah, man, that was insane. And it's how, Scott's there, his other brother's in the heat with him. So it was, it was just two emotional heats, the end of the girls and the end of the guys today. It's just a big old hug fest at the end. So.
The other thing I will add here is, because we saw it last week at the Lowlands also, where they had a workout with a time cap and a finish, but no one was finishing it. So it almost turns into an AMRAP. And the exciting thing about a workout like that is that everyone's working up to the last minute. And even in a 25-minute workout, I mean, it was coming down to one rep. I think actually Dallin and Noah ended up with the exact same number of reps after 25 minutes. So there's excitement right up to the last minute, and you see the athletes selling out at the end of a long workout, at the end of day 2 of competition, knowing that they have nothing left today, and then they have a chance to recover for tomorrow. So to see the athletes pushing with so much on the line when the races are so tight in a workout like that, it is a cool element of programming. It just, I think I'm not sure if that was the intent with this workout, but that's what we ended up getting.
Yeah, no, I agree. I love the workout. Love the workout. I said the same thing. I said, first heat, not finishing. Okay, even a big chunk of the second heat. But the fittest people here that, half of them are going to go to the CrossFit Games and be like the peak expression of what we're doing, not finishing and selling their souls to finish. I was like, maybe a little over. But the the runner thing is it's a fact, man. You can't plan for that stuff. So I did love the workout though, and it was cool to watch.
And finally, going on to the teams, event 3, they took on the thrusters and legless rope climb, CrossFit Mayhem Independence taking home first. Dex, what were some of the other teams that you were watching during this event, especially as a workout that we've seen at the other semifinals?
Honestly, I'm trying to see who has the weak links as far as like girls, right? Because I mean, I hate to say it usually comes down to who has the best girls, but we see that year and year. Like, why does Rich's team murder people? He has 2 cyborgs for girls on his team that are mowing down I would put them up against almost all the smaller gentlemen in the team field. But yeah, so I was excited to see if, I keep saying shoe fly. I want to see how their 2 girls handle it, and they cruising. Camo Athletics was good. There was nobody that really was crazy surprised. West Chase took a 6th, and I know one of the girls really well. Hannah Hardy used to be one of my athletes. But it's crazy to see when you look at the repeat for the women, just the individual field. I think that was a leap and bound, and there's still some, right, that like the upper body pulling is just a longer curve for people, but head and shoulders above what it was in 2014. And it's the same thing for teams, because that lag is usually a lot bigger. The strength gap's usually a lot bigger, the skills, and it's usually like you got a home run person. I mean, we can say 4 people was taking the specialist out of it, like you could have in a 6-person team and hide them, but there are still some people like that. And but it was nice to see like a lot of the ladies on the team. Like, I don't think anybody had to stand around, and then you get to see some of the good strategy with that, with how they were kind of hiding them and how they partitioned everything up, since it was a do whatever you want kind of flow.
And then finally wrapping up with the teams, event 4, TLC, which was again on the runner, ring muscle ups, handstand walks, and clean and jerks, all in that waterfall fashion. Independence taking home the win again, but all the teams we just mentioned, they got capped. So Brian, seeing the teams working in this sort of AMRAP fashion, and especially in the waterfall programming, what were some of the things that you were looking for when it comes to strategy for these teams so that they could get to their final athlete?
Yeah, it was an interesting program design, because you had obviously the ring muscle ups that can be a separator for some women at this level, and then you have the barbell, where there were certain athletes like Erin Hanna that was able to close down like 6 guys on just the barbell, the 10 clean and jerks alone. So there were different little elements where people could express their strengths within this workout. But this is a very individual workout. Like this reminds me of one of the workouts from the Dubai programming the year before Rich did it, where people were like, there's too much that's featuring the individual here and not enough on the teamwork. And I think that you can have workouts like this occasionally in a field of only 6 workouts. I don't know if I love it that much. But that, the thing is, the teams that have been doing well on everything also did well on this. And so Tex was talking about earlier how, there's a lot of teams with a lot of top 10 finishes. And the reality is here that's not good enough. There's not a ton of depth in this field. It's already depleted by 3 teams that had to withdraw. Bottom teams aren't middling and taking any points from the top teams. So if you're going to want to make the games here, you got to, top 10s aren't going to do it. You got to be, 6th, 7th or better on everything. And all the teams in the top 5 excelled in this workout as well. And that's why you see them up there.
Mm-hmm.
One day left of competition. Who are you guys looking at going into the final day to hopefully punch their ticket to the games? Dex, let's start with you.
For the fellas, I want to see my man, and on a very personal note, I want to see Noah make a run tomorrow and sneak in there. I don't care what place. I just want my man to be in. Tyler Christoffel had some kind of controversy last year where he probably just procedure-wise should have been backloaded in, and was been pretty upset about it all year, which is awesome to see him in a 4. So I'd love to see those 2 lock it down. And then Dallin Pepper, man, like I'm more and more impressed with the kid, like the way he does it, his maturity in the sport as an athlete. So yeah, Noah to sneak in, everybody else can stay the same. That's what I'm looking for.
What about on the women's side?
Women's side, I spent some time with Sid. Love her. I hope she stays atop the mountain. It's really awesome to see all these ladies mix it up. Pump Bailey's in. I would love to see Shelby Neal get in, man. Just to kind of get to spend some time with her at another competition and at a few events. Super nice lady, and she works really hard, and she's young. So seeing her get in will be cool at 22. I don't know a lot about Kelly Clark, like Brian said, but anybody that's been in it for a long time, I appreciate like the longevity in the sport. So I'd like to see her get in, but yeah, that's who I got for the ladies.
Brian, women and men that you're watching on the final day of competition.
Yeah, I mean, I think the top 5 women are going to be tough to unseat, but Rebecca Fuselier and Shelby Neal are definitely within striking distance, especially if Brooke Wells is feeling any side effects or after effects from what happened this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Shelby's got 3 event finishes in the top 5 and then a dead last. So I'm expecting her to have, if she doesn't have another glaring hole like she did on that workout, and she can put 2 more top 5 finishes together, it's not outside of the realm of possibility for her to make a push tomorrow, which means that Kelly Clark and Brooke Wells cannot afford a slip up. On the men's side, Dex talked about pretty much everyone who's in the mix other than Logan Collins, who currently sits 5th, 2 points ahead of Noah, and Spencer Panchik, who's a few points behind Noah. But there's a sneaky guy in 9th place, Mitchell Stevenson. He had a really rough day 1. He moved from 20th to 9th yesterday. He's only 27 points out, and I think that he's pretty fit. Like, he's got a well-rounded fitness, but not just top end strength that cost him a lot in the lift. So if he can put together performances like he did today, I think he took the 2nd place on the events today.
Last one, yeah.
We saw it last week where you can have, Will Morad can come from what seems to be outside of a qualifying position and make a push, or it's feeding to the same thing in lowland. So if you're looking for a story that's possibly like that, Stevenson's a guy to potentially watch tomorrow.
Those are certainly fun storylines to watch on a final day of competition.
If he did 80 points last week, literally no one's safe. Logan's at 280. It's jump, like, it's ridiculous. Like, hell, Jake Berman could jump in. So it's, yeah, man, that's the beauty of this. This is gonna be a fun wrap up. I feel like all of them consistently are gonna be like this. This excites me. I don't like seeing somebody just crush everybody.
2 more events until we see who punches their ticket to the CrossFit Games from the Mid-Atlantic CrossFit Challenge. Brian Friend, Dex Hopkins, thank you guys for day 2 of our recap show. We'll see you tomorrow with who's going back to Madison, or maybe even for the first time.
There we go.